Hello and thank you for joining us. This is Orbit GCS, Gauge Computer Software Training. Today we will be discussing Upgrade Package 4, Diagrams and Charts. So Upgrade Package 4 has two main features added to it. First is the diagram feature. And this is where you can import pictures or graphic files and then see those on your main Orbit GCS screen. In addition, you can customize bar graphs and readouts and place those on the screen like you see there. In addition, there is also a chart feature. And this is something you can use for glass, flatness, or similar applications where all the different dimensions that you have set out are connected by one line. In addition, you can see warning limits and fail limits on the screen. Also new for Orbit GCS is that it's now available in other languages. The first two languages that we have are Japanese, like what you see here, as well as for Chinese, and other languages are coming soon. It should be noted the other versions of Orbit GCS that we have already. For example, we have the baseline version, which is free. This can run up to 5 Orbit modules and 1 Orbit interface module. We also have a registered version, which is also free, and this adds the data logging function, and you can also run a higher number of Orbit modules. We also have Upgrade Package 1. This is where you can build your own math formulas, as well as run up to 20 Orbit networks and save up to 1,000 parts and projects. Then there's Upgrade Package 2, which is the mastering package, and this is something you can use to basically track the quality of a gauge over time. Then you have Upgrade Package 3, which is Statistical Process Control. Now before we get started, it should be noted that for Upgrade Package 4, you will want to download and install the latest Orbit Support Pack from Solartron.com. You should be on at least version 1.9.4. Then for the Orbit GCS pack, you will want to download the latest version as well. You should be on version 2.7.1.0. These were all installed onto the Solartron website as of January 2021. So first we will show you how to set up the diagram function for the Orbit GCS software. For this, we're going to do a basic measurement where we have 2 probes set up. Those are shown here, and then a simple A plus B measurement. The gauge that we're using is what you see pictured here. So first we're going to show the menu. Make sure that you have Upgrade Package 4 installed and properly licensed. The first thing we want to show you is under Dimensions. See, we have the 2 probes here, an A plus B, but you want to make sure first that you have your scaling set. So for example, here we're just going to have it plus minus 2 millimeters. The warning limits are plus minus 0.25, and then the fail limits are plus minus 0.5. Now for the A plus B, the cylinder that we're checking in that particular gauge measures 25 millimeters. And so for this, we're going to set the scale at from 26 millimeters to 24, set the warning limits at plus minus 0.1, so 25.1 to 24.9, and then the fail limit from 25.3 to 24.7. So basically our spec is 25 millimeters plus minus 0.3 millimeters. Make sure you click Save. So then to go to the diagram setup screen, you click Parts, and then click Screen, and then the new features are added here. You have Charts. We'll be talking about that in a second. We'll start with the diagrams here. So this is where you basically have a list of whatever diagrams you have set up. I'm just going to click New, and then this is the Diagram Designer. So we're just going to first give this a title, and we'll just put it at 25 millimeters, check, and then with plus minus 0.3 millimeter tolerance. Now, first thing you'll want to do, if you would like, is set the background image. For that, we're going to go to a picture that actually I just took with my smartphone. You have the options for a PNG image, JPEG, or bitmap. This is a JPEG image, which is what you see right here. For this, the picture is too large for the screen, so it should be rescaled. And as you can see here, still a tad too big. But you have these buttons that have activated, such as rescale the background image or delete it. We're just going to go to rescale, then I can click fit screen, and now it will automatically resize it to 1168 by 621 pixels. You can also even downsize this more manually if you so choose. So click OK. So now this is basically a picture of the gauge here. And the next thing you have on the right hand side here is the toolbox with a bunch of different inserts you can do. The first is label, and that's pretty straightforward. So if I click on this and then click on the screen, that's going to insert a text box. So here you can perhaps label the gauge if you want, or perhaps do some other type of program. For this, I'm just going to put in the specification. And for that, I'm going to put in the label text over on the right-hand side here. 25 millimeters plus minus 0.3. You also have some options here, such as what color do you want the text? What is the background color? Actually, for this, the fore color is typically the text. So we'll go red. And then also you can change the size of it, as well as the font. So we'll just increase this to about 20. Actually, we'll go bigger than that. And if you see that it's a little bit too big, like so. Shift it over. So then the next option is just for line, and this is where you can just typically set up a line and then make that a particular pointer. So here we're just going to have the 25 millimeter spec points to the center cylinder. Here, just like before, we'll just change that red. And then you also have options here to bring the front or send to back. Next option is a button, and this is where you can add a functional button. So I'm just going to click this up on the left-hand side. Right now it's unassigned, but if you go to the control properties, you'll see action. Right now it says no action, but we'll switch this to, let's go to A+B preset, because we have this set up for a preset. And same thing, you have the option to change the size of this font if you so choose. Like so. So that's just a button that can appear on the screen. Then another option here is if you wish to place another picture over it. So picture here. Now if I click this, you have a couple of different options here. For example, you can perform a logic element. This is something you have to set up elsewhere. Image true or image false. And again, this is with the logic. But for right now, we're just going to send it. For right now, we're just not going to insert a picture. Next is vertical readout. And this is where, if I click this, you have the full gamut, just like you do with the standard graph, where you can have you have the bar itself, but you also have the options for absolute, zero, and preset here, as well as the identification at the top. And the next option for the chart readout is just the chart itself, without the other button functions. Then third, what we have is the gauge readout. So here, that's just a simple wheel like a dial gauge. So this actually will set up for the central A+B measurement. So place that here. And then if you'll see, once you have this highlighted, you have, which dimension do you wish to use it for? And you go to A+B. Now, if you'll notice, and this is where setting up the dimensions is kind of critical, we have the dimension of 25 millimeters plus minus. The warning limits are set here, and then the fail limits are set over here. Then you have another option is the bar readout. For here, instead of a vertical bar that you get with the vertical readout or chart readout, you have a horizontal bar like you see here. So this will just spread out a bit. So let's set this one for the probe on the left side. And let's set another bar readout for probe on the right side. Then you'll have a text readout here, and this is fairly self-explanatory. This is where if you want to see the actual reading of the dimension, you can insert it anywhere on the diagram. So here, this one in the center, I'll set up for the A plus B measurement. So again, click dimension, go to A plus B. Now, a neat feature about this is that you have two different text readout options. First, if you see how it says here limit mode 4 color, that means that the numbers here, if they're within specification, they will just be black like this. But if it goes to the warning limit, they will change yellow. And if they go to the failure limit, they go to red. That is with this particular option. And we'll show a demonstration of that in a second. But another one is where it goes to background color. Now for this, the background changes color instead. So if it's within specification, like what you would see here, it would be within green. If it happens to fall within the warning limit, of course that turns to yellow, and then to red if it happens to fail. So for this one here, we're just going to go with background color. Now if I unclick this box, this will of course stay white, but still go to yellow or red if you go within the warning limits or the failure limits of the dimension that you set up. We'll keep that green. Then finally is the logic panel. And again, this is if you set up a logic feature with your software, you can place that on here. Right now I haven't set up a logic display for this particular setup, but there are multiple training examples available on the Solartron YouTube channel for GCS. So next thing I will actually do is just insert text readouts on this side. So here, and again for this one I'll do the 4 color, so you see how that works. Then click this again to insert another feature for text readout on this side. And this one will go background color, but actually I'll just remove that. I'll show you how that runs. So then, once you have this all set up, just click close. Shown here. Click close. Click save. So now if we go back to the gauge screen. So now that we are back at the main gauging screen, to get to the diagram screen, you just go to set display. That will go through the usual default displays. We'll also go to the chart screen. We'll talk about that more in a second. And then it goes to the display screen that we have set up. So here you have a working button in the upper left-hand side for presetting, the middle one. If you'll see that, notice that the dimension in the center, right now it has a background of green, but once I change the dimension to the warning limit or out of tolerance, it flashes red. And then for the left and right probes, if you'll see on the left-hand side, we've set it up where, it's just the text showing, but if you'll notice the color of the text changes to yellow and then to red. On the right-hand side, here the text is black, but then the background changes to yellow and then to red for that particular setting. And then in the center, of course, you have the dial gauge, which can go any particular direction as well. Now, this is just one example of a diagram configuration that you can have. And even with the same part or with the same gauge, you can actually have multiple displays. Like, for example, if one operator prefers just to see the dial gauges, you can have a screen like this. Or if a customer prefers to have vertical bars like as you see here, that can be another option as well. There's a lot of versatility for this for the many needs of different customers. So our next training step will be using the chart feature on Upgrade Package 4. Now the chart feature is probably most ideal for anything where you have perhaps a flatness application or you're checking a plane of glass. The first thing we're going to want to do is set up a particular application where this could be handy. So we're just going to do a basic flatness application like what you see here. We're just going to check like a nice glass disc. So first thing I'm going to do is go to dimensions, and here I already have something set up where we have 3 probes here. Now each of them, if you'll notice, I have the scale from 2 millimeters to -2 millimeters, and each of those are set to that particular scale. I should point out that if any of these particular scales are dimensioned larger, like for example, if you have one at 25 and you have one at 2, what the chart is automatically going to do is scale it all the way to 25 millimeters. Like that's what you see, with our previous application. Now, lastly, we're just going to do a quick flatness application. So for this, what I'm going to do, I've actually created a formula. Flatness, if you'll see, that's just max A, B, and C, which is the 3 probes that we've set up, minus min A, B, and C. Go back to dimensions, flatness, set formula, select, set parameters, add the 3 probes, go back. And if you'll see here, we've also added warning limits and fail limits. So here we're just going basic, like for a warning limit, 0.25 millimeters, minimum minus 0.25 millimeters, maximum of 0.5, and then minimum of minus 0.5. So click save here. Then the next thing we'll want to do is go back to part, go back to screen. Now let's just click configure. Now by default, you're going to have a screen like this. And at the top, you have basically the chart configuration. And this shows where you can have fail limit max lines, warning limit max lines, as well as the output lines. So these are all showing the particular points for where your fail limits are, as well as your outputs. Now here you have options for colors. By default, it's going to be red for max, as well as green for output line. These, of course, you can change. And then line width just has to do with basically how thick you want the line to be. By default, it'll be 1, but why don't we change that to 5 for the max line to kind of show you what that does. And then the line style, you can select from multiple ones, whether it be solid or dash dot. We'll just do that for the max lines as well. Okay, then the next thing here is the marker color and marker size. So the markers just basically call out, are just little dots for each dimension that you're looking at. By default, there are none, but here we can just add a shape to it. So let's say for the max markers, let's go square, and you'll see what this looks like in a second. And let's just increase the size to 10. You'll see what that looks like. And we'll keep that at 5. And actually, we'll make the output line, the regular output line, a triangle. Now down here, if you'll see, it says warn limit line exceeded. If this is enabled, that means that if any of the dimensional points that you've set up, if they go into the warning limit, the entire screen will flash yellow. Same goes for here. If this is enabled and any of the measurement points you're doing go exceed the line, then the entire screen will flash red. That we will show you in a second. So once we have this all set up, we'll click close, click save. Now let's go to gauge. Here is the chart display screen as it's set up. If you'll see, there's a thinner green line for the outputs, but for the maximum line, we've set up a dot as well as markers, like what you see here, a larger square, and then triangles at about a 5-point measurement. And again, these are something you can play with. So now I'm just going to take the gauge and actually change some of the points. If you'll see, as long as they're within green, nothing happens. But once I go into, if some of the points go into the warning limit, what happens? It goes into yellow. And then if it goes beyond, it turns into red. So again, where this can be really helpful is if you're monitoring multiple points for a piece of glass or a flatness plane, anything where perhaps a sheet like this could be helpful. So this concludes the Orbit GCS training on Upgrade Package 4 for the diagrams and the charts. And again, if you have further questions, you can contact your local Solartron representative. And again, other Orbit GCS training is available on the Solartron YouTube channel. You can find a link to that actually on our website, www.solartronmetrology.com. Thank you and have a good day.